Remember, the lines are open 011-542-2186, so you can join us on social media. We have the pleasure of having Zanele Luana, BLF, Deputy President in studio, Carl Niehaus, MKMVA NEC member, and Sam Mkokedi, a Media Freedom Chairperson for SANEF, and William Bird, a Director for Media Monitoring Africa, will join us in a bit. Good evening, my queen, and thanks so much for joining us. Just looking at this, some would say it's overreaction, because essentially what has happened here was the dispute with the members of the ZCC in Botswana, whether branches should be merged or not, to retract the support of the media from the church members. Do you think that this is an overreaction?
It is not an overreaction. That's the nature in which we should respond as black people in this country, because the economy of the country is in the hands of white people, and so is the land, and so is the media. And the media is being used by people like Johan Rupert, who owns the TISO Black Star Group, and the media houses linked to the TISO Black Star Group. And we know that mainstream media in the country now has set a track record of covering up white corruption while ridiculing black leaders, key leaders in society, so that they may advance an agenda of regime change. We must also know that the church currently is being mobilized to push for an agenda of regime change in society. That's why the South African Council of Churches even pronounced on their lack of confidence thereof to the sitting president of the country.
Yeah, but are you saying, that the church doesn't have a place in politics, or it should not echo what might be in the, in the public discourse and what people are talking about?
The church, because it is a body made up of black people, I wouldn't say that they should not involve themselves in politics. Well, politics, at the end of the day, influence our lived experience. But we have seen how churches are being mobilized to push an agenda to trap black people in bondage and suffering. We know that white mainstream media is against radical economic transformation. They are against those who seem to support the president of the country, or those who have not even declared where they stand in the war, right? So media in this country is being used, and they use their power, or rather their hegemony in news generally, to push an agenda where black influential leaders are always put into question, while people like Johan Rupert, like the Oppenheimers, like people who own the economy of the country, they are never put into question. But always the black leaders are written about, and the black leaders are always not even given their right of reply, so that they may advance an agenda to strip the dignity of black leaders in this country.
Yeah, but we do have other institutions where this matter could have been ventilated. The South African National Editors Forum, the Ombudsman, Press Ombudsman, etc. But you at home, give us a call 011-542-2186 if you have the view that the retraction of the 16 million or so members of the ZCC, the leadership calling for them not to support the TISO Black Star group. What is your view? Before we take any calls, we have Carl Niehaus, who is MKMVA NEC member. Mr. Niehaus, thanks so much for your time. Your reaction to this vis-a-vis the press freedom that has been so hard fought for in the country? All right, move around a little bit. Yeah. Your line is terrible. We can barely hear you. Just move around a little bit. Hi, are you there? All right, let's take a call. Mokhadi, thanks so much for your call. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks for asking. And you?
I'm fine, ma'am. My comment on the whole issue is that, yes, there is media freedom, and the religious freedom should be considered, because the church, as the ZCC church, is based mainly on spiritual issues. So my belief and take on this decision that the bishop has made is that this is a spiritual decision, because in that church, pastors that are appointed to lead the church are not appointed in terms of their academic qualifications, or they are appointed there in terms of the spiritual requirements or spiritual processes. So there is a reason that is spiritually orientated that has prompted the bishop to merge the 4 branches into, or the 5 branches into one branch of the church, as to allow the spiritual realm of the practices of the church to take place. So my take on the whole issue, media freedom should be separated from religious freedom, because as you know now, you can see in any festivities of the ZCC church, there are no politicians that have been given platform there. You see, they come as visitors, as guests, but they are no longer given a platform because the church is moving away from aligning itself with politics.
All right, Mahadi, thanks so much for that call. Much appreciated. Tabo in Cape Town. Good evening to you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, thank you. My take on the matter is, I think it's actually about time that the bishop took such a decision. Because if you go deep into the history of the church, there has been lots of critics going on from his father's times, from his grandfather's times. So if he doesn't put a stop to this, it's something that's going to go on to the next generation. So it's about time that the media knows their place in religion, and they should know their place in politics as well.
All right,
so they should not mix the two. They should not mix the two, religion and politics, okay? He is the leader of the church as much as our president is the leader of a political organization. So nobody can come from wherever and come and make decisions for him in his own church.
All right, got you, Tabo. Thanks so much calling us from Cape Town. Let's try Carl Niehaus again. Good evening. I hope we have your second time lucky, Mr. Niehaus. Are you of the view that the bishop of the ZCC church is being vilified for the distance that they'd put in the whole call for Zuma must fall, as we saw with the Council of Churches recently? Hi, Carl. All right, Zanele, you can help us out with that one while we try and pitch.
Yeah. We know that forces of imperialism and forces of regime change who do not want to see black people finally owning the country of their birth, they are mobilizing all sectors of society to create political instability in the country while they advance an agenda of white monopoly capital that only benefits white people. So the bishop then, if he has not been vocal on what the other church leaders, like I think of someone like Thabo Makgoba, who is the bishop for the Anglican Church, that person who even has the audacity to meet with the likes of Johann Rupert, who does not have any interest whatsoever in changing the lived experience and shifting property relations in this country, and who owns the economy and who does not.
All right.
So it's not political, it's our lives. And it's very important that us as the black majority, we defend Bishop Lechanyane, because he is under attack from white monopoly capital.
So you're saying that the media is being biased. I just want to get to that point, whether this kind of action would then change the narrative in how news is reported in the country. That's number one. But quickly, let's take a caller. Lapang in the Northwest. Good evening to you.
Good evening, and how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I would just want to make some few comments. Maybe we just need to accept that white monopoly capital is at play here, where you see now, would know, for Mr. or the Bishop Ngatele Kganyane has been very a disciplined, respected elder of the church, and you'd know that political parties would go to the church and receive prayers. But now here we are seeing a situation where this white monopoly capital want to play now a center in trying to divide this big church that is being respected. And this is the only big church that is respected in the entire world, where it also still upholds the values of African culture. Now, these whites now would do anything to ensure that they divide our people.
Yeah, Maralapang, okay, very briefly, please.
Come again?
Yeah, briefly, the rest, you finish your thought.
Yes, and lastly, we knew that at last they would want to play a game that now their press freedom is now being hampered or being strangled, and they must just also respect that there's also religious freedom in this matter.
All right, point taken. Lebokhatata Lapang in the northwest, Musa and KwaZulu-Natal. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you, my dear sister.
Yes, my brother, how are you doing?
Well, I'm so fine, and I'm not a member of ZCC. I'm a member of Nazareth Baptist Church, the Chambers. This thing has happened for quite some time, whereby black leaders, as far as churches are concerned, are being dragged to the mud day by day. I don't know when this will come to an end or to stop. It's very, very pathetic, the way even our fellow black editors are taking us to a high. It's very, very bad.
But do you think that the retraction of membership or support for the printing group is not harsh, or you don't think that
it is very good for him to tell his congregation to boycott the press or those newspapers if the cases arises. Same thing applies to us when it comes to Ilanga and Isolezwe. So we were told that we should not buy it, and we are not buying it. Yeah, that's that.
All right, Siyabonga kakhulu Bhuti Musa in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's just come back to that. Why then do we have institutions like the Press Ombuds, SANEF, etc., if there are no amicable ways of dealing with any form of conflict?
I think we must also be clear that when it comes to white mainstream media in the country, there is no journalism whatsoever. We have institutions that are basically mouthpieces of white settler monopoly capital in the country. We also know that those who own the media, they own, or rather they set the agenda on what issues the press ombudsman would deal with and who gets justice and who doesn't. And for the record, an organization that I belong to, which is Black First Land First, which has been given all kinds of labels because of our support of the president of the country, particularly because he's a senior leader and has called for land expropriation without compensation and is advancing the agenda of radical economic transformation. We see this as a window in as an opportunity to mobilize our people towards liberation. The regulatory bodies of media, as things stands now, do not serve the interest of black people. They rather serve the interest of those who own the country and have captured.
I'm all for the transformation, but I'm just saying that we can do it in the confines.
But that's why we are calling for an independent media tribunal.
All right, Zanele, let's take a caller. Joe in Alberton, Patrick in Tembisa, and Temba and Val. We see you. We'll start with Joe. Good evening to you. Hi, Joe.
Hello, Cindy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for giving me this opportunity, and also hello to Zanele.
Hello.
I'm a bit worried, Cindy, because you see, Bishop Lekhanyane is the most successful bishop in the whole Africa. I think the white monopoly capital, it's actually like all jealous. They want to destabilize him. Hello? Yeah, they want to destabilize him. And I think he must never meet the SANEF. He must never meet these people.
Yes.
The Aluta continua. They must just boycott this media.
All right, Joe.
This is not fair.
Yeah. All right, Joe, we'll talk about the impact or ramification, though. If there's 16 million less copies being sold, what that means for that Iso Black Star Group and employment and those kind of issues. Patrick in Tembisa, hello.
Yes, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good. I've got two things here that I want to talk to you about. The first thing is that we've got a problem with the media, especially these days. Number one, they wrote the story without consulting the church, and then obviously they should have get the side of the church and then write the full story. If they don't have the other side of the story, they should have waited until they've got full information. That's number one. I think the media was wrong on this story, and the bishop by banning or by boycotting for boycotting this thing of buying the newspaper. I think somehow it's right, because if they keep on doing this, I mean, they're writing a lot of stories which are not true.
All right, Patrick, we're going to leave it there, my brother. Thanks indeed for your call, Timba in the Val. Good evening to you.
How are you, Cindy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, and your guest also.
Hello.
Cindy, I think it's time to hold our guns and fight now. Because this thing of talking too much, it's one of the things that I think it's taking us back. People, it comes to a point now to show us that they are undermining us. If everyone can talk as much as everyone can talk, everyone can say anything. We know how our fathers and our grandmothers and our fathers fight for this country. We still have more advanced strategy to fight now. Because we can't always keep on talking. And there is something that I was just want to raise. There's some lot of issues that we see it on the TV every day, every morning. These things, it won't help us because there's no any law. The law exactly is favoring the most of our black people when they are going to run to the court. This judiciary, it's favoring them, those white people. It won't help us.
Yeah, but Temba, we also can't condone any form of violence, my brother. You know, the democracy that is still so fragile means that we need to be sober-minded even when we have disputes. So I still keep coming back to alternatives, okay?
Yeah, but
the bishop has decided and its membership.
But Cindy, what is pushing us on that? It's because of this constitution and this law. And this judiciary also, it's pushing us there because it's not helping us. It's helping only certain individual people. Look at Godan, what he's doing into our country. Keep taking our money out of the country.
All right, Temba, I'm afraid we're going to have to...
Why they don't freeze his account?
All right, my brother, I really appreciate your call. Of course, at the end of the day, we'd have to discern as viewers or consumers of media as to which is authentic, which is honest reporting. In this case, the ZCC Church saying this, criticizing the DISO Black Style Group as practicing gutter journalism. In your view, what happens to, not only their reputation and their income revenue, but also the people that work there? You're saying that they are stifled, there's no freedom or liberty of what they want to write.
We know that the media is white, and therefore, even our black brothers and sisters who work for these white media houses, they do not even practice journalism based on what constitutes justice and where we should be going as a society, but rather are junior partners in the whole setup, and they are given instructions. And the instruction now is to call for regime change, is to ridicule the president of the country, and is to ridicule anyone else who seems to not have been vocal enough in calling for regime change in this country. So we must be very, very clear about that. So, when it comes to the profits of the Black Star Group, well, they built the institutions anyway throughout apartheid, and they make news through while mocking black pain and the suffering of our lived experience as black people. We must hit them where it hurts most, and that is the pocket. And I would like to say to the bishop of the church, he must press on. He must not listen to organizations such as SANEF, and we must do the same. We must make a very quick survey. What does Johan Rupert own? We boycotted as well as the black majority in this country.
All right,
if we can maintain this spirit, we are going to change. We're running out of time.
Lucky Davidson, I apologize for interrupting. Lucky?
Hi.
Good evening
how
to
are
you.
you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Sorry for the interruption. Let me tell you something. The ZCC didn't ask help from any newspaper for the membership or whatever finances. Can these people stay away from the ZCC? If they don't have a place to play, they must choose maybe to go to the sea or something like that. They mustn't play with the ZCC name, because this is not a political church. It's a spiritual church. we don't need, or the ZCC doesn't need any finances or help from them. Do you understand what I mean? And then if it's a whatever party or whatever, say, certain people that they want to blackmail ZCC, they are on the wrong lane. They better choose another avenue to do whatever they want to do, but not on ZCC.
All right, I take it you are a member, like, of the ZCC church?
Yes, full member from 1 year old.
All right, much appreciated. Zanele, just in wrapping up, again, we live in a space where the media is the conduit, where you talk and report on stories, you inform, you shape opinion, that if we now say hands off the ZCC or anything else that may come off the church and boycott the consumption of news, isn't that treading on dangerous ground as a society where we need to be informed, and we'd rather correct the bad or gutted journalism as opposed to now punishing the entire group?
The only way we can correct on how the journalism space and media spaces run in the country is if we reclaim our country black as the black majority in this country. If that does not happen, white mainstream media under the control of people like Johan Rupert, they are going to always set an agenda where people remain landless and hopeless, and we do not find inspiration in changing our lived experience. That's why the decision of the ZCC Church is so important, because it brings strength to us who are fighting to change the lived experience, not only of ourselves, but the lived experience of our own people. SANEF, where was SANEF, for example, when David Mutale was getting death threats? Where was SANEF when Kenny Kunene, who is a good friend to Steve Mutale, rather? That's my mistake. Well, 21 bullets, nothing there whatsoever. SANEF comes in now to try and play all holy while they themselves advance an agenda of anti-blackness and white monopoly capital. All
right, we're going to have to leave it there. As always, thank you so much. Very passionate. I love the way you express your views. Zanele Luana is the Black First Land First Deputy President. Carl Niehaus, unfortunately, is driving, so we weren't able to get hold of him. But thanks to you at home for taking the trouble to call. And we'll take a break, and we'll see you on the other side of this. Stay with us.